There's no way that Arkham's ready for Enigma. Here's your look at McFarlane Toys, DC Multiverse, Batman Arkham City, The Riddler. With an obsessive-compulsive need for attention, Edward Nygma is determined to be the most outlandish of Gotham City's criminals, concocting elaborate series of clues and riddles around his crimes. Batman has proven a worthy opponent, capable of deducing the Riddler's plans, but Nygma is dedicated to creating a mystery that the Dark Knight will not be able to solve this time. Riddles can be big, riddles can be small, but it doesn't matter the size if you can't solve them at all. Before we get a closer look at the brand new McFarlane Toys Arkham City, The Riddler, let's go ahead first and grab the tape measure to see how tall the figure stands. And while I'm doing this as well, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did take the time and did provide this without a riddle required, provided the Riddler that we could have a look in this review. Riddler stands about 6 3/4 of an inch tall, or the figure's about 17 centimeters in height. And as for comparison, seeing as we have already looked at Arkham City figures, then this makes things easy. Here's what Riddler looks like with Batman, although Batman's leaning a little bit to the side. Here's what the figure also looks like, pardon my hairy arm, with the Catwoman that we've looked at. Here's what the figure also looks like with Ra's al Ghul, which maybe I'll put Ra's al Ghul here in the back because he's so tall. And here's also what the figure looks like with the Arkham City Penguin. A good ragtag bunch of characters, all released from the folks over at McFarlane Toys. We're three little things of a not everyday sort, nor will you find these either on a tennis court, unless you take your figure accessories out to a tennis court. A reference, though, to Batman Forever. By the way, that was my favorite riddle from the movie. Of the things that come included with Riddler, he comes included with a cane, he comes included with a trading card, he comes included with a display stand. Not necessarily in that order. The figure comes included with a trading card. Maybe it was in that order. On the front, you can see once again they're using an illustrated artwork, not figure photography. It seems they've changed the course when it comes to these trading cards, and instead of actually relying on figure photography, McFarlane's team instead has rather gone back to using artwork. And I've noticed more and more the cards that we're getting with these figures seem to be relying more on this, and not necessarily images of this, and I much rather prefer the cards looking like this. That's a cool looking Riddler though. You can see there's the question mark glowing in front of him. Down below it says Arkham City the Riddler. Then if you though flip it around to the back, the real name here in this case is Edward Nygma, with a fairly small read-up. You can either pause and read it for yourself, or if you don't have a lot of time and you want to just skip ahead of that, it happens to be the same thing I read at the beginning of the review as well. So we're going to go ahead and put that to the rest of my trading cards. Then the figure comes included with a display stand. Not really new to report here. Same display stand as we've gotten already before with the DC logo printed down below and one neighboring peg just off to the side. It can attach to either one of Nygma's feet. You can't attach both. So it's not a hard riddle. You just have to choose which boot you want to attach onto this display stand peg. We're going to move this also to the side. The figure then comes included with the cane that he has in the game. The cane itself, as you can see, is molded here in a black plastic. There are still opportunities where they could have added just a little bit of color, and they have. Gold on the top and then gold down below, matching golds. But a nice looking cane. It's fairly thick though, but luckily it does still manage to fit into his hand. You can either fit it from actually holding it like this, or you can have him holding it on the end like a normal cane would be. The beauty of also this figure is the fact that he does have gripping hands on both the sides, so you can choose which side you'd like to have the figure displayed with. I'm going to go on this side for right now, but again, you can have it on either side. Just pry the fingers away from the palm, and then go ahead and get the cane, at least in this configuration. Just attach it to the inside here. Now, in the opener of this review, I actually had the cane draped over Nygma's shoulders, and to be honest, I kind of like the look of that. I might even just stick to that when displaying this guy on the shelf. You can also, of course, just have the cane off to his side like this. Or if you actually wanted to make it look like he's using it as a cane, then you can have to pry the fingers just a little bit more away to get the handle in there. And of course, then Nygma can actually have it using like a real walking cane. I prefer the first way that I had it draped over his shoulders. So he has that. Again, normally the accessories are fairly thick, but I can give it a pass at least because, of course, it's a cane. Cane can be a little bit thicker than, say, like a Batarang. So we're going to put that to the side. Getting, though, a closer look now at Edward Nygma. Nice looking figure. The thing, though, about this is that the skin tone on his face, first of all, doesn't match the coloring of his neck. It's pretty close, but I noticed like his face seems a little jaundice yellow. Other than that, though, it's a nice looking head portrait. You can see that the glasses are a little off kilter. They're also a little bit lower down on the nose, giving you a chance to kind of see his eyes underneath there. You can definitely see he's plotting something. I just don't know what. The coloring is also nicely handled here in the lips. There's a little bit of white on the inside for his teeth, and they have actually sculpted the teeth, which is a nice touch also as well. Short of just the fact, again, like the skin tone on his face seems too yellowish, especially when you compare it to the rest of the neck here. It's a nice looking head. For obvious reasons, you can't remove his baldr cap. It's not removable, but some nice detailing, a nice color scheme that they've used for the green. The green also carries over to the suit of the coloring here. The suit is nice, although my issue really with the suit is the fact that he has all these cool question marks that they've sculpted onto the plastic, and yet, unfortunately, they haven't colored any of them. In the game, I believe the question marks are more of a darker green against the backdrop of the green jacket that he has. So if they had only gone in there and painted, I know theirs would have been a lot more work involved to have to go and paint every single question mark that you see on here, but it would have been nice at least if they could have made, I mean, obviously a wash would have just gone over everything. Somebody would have had to have taken a smaller paintbrush and painted on the individual question marks. I know that's a lot of time. That's a lot of effort. That's a lot of extra paint. But that's just one thing I really wish that the figure could have had, just so that those question marks stand out a lot more than what they actually do. He has a band also on his arm that's painted the same green as the rest of the sleeve. I think it's supposed to be a different color also as well. At the very least, at least they painted the big question mark on the back of the body. The one thing I would be the most disappointed with is if they didn't actually put this on the back of his body. I can overlook the fact that maybe the question marks, could have used a little bit of paint, but at the very least, they put a painted question mark on the front of his tie, and they painted the much crucial question mark there on the back of his body there as well. The sleeves are rolled up in this case for Nigma, so you got a little bit of purple making an appearance. The same purple happens to make an appearance also for his gloves, and also there's that same purple there for the front collar of his jacket, not to mention the tie as well. Now, the tie is attached to the top of his body. Now, because it's not obviously attached down below there, that's not going to cause any problems when it comes to the articulation for the figure that we'll look at more in a moment. Generally a very lean, trimmed-looking Riddler. Riddler tends to be a very thin character, even starting as far back as Frank Gorshin portraying the role. Jim Carrey, of course, and Batman Forever. I didn't mind, actually, Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Nice, again, looking Riddler figure. You got a little bit of a curl at the back of the jacket. That's a little small touch I really like. Cuts there also in the back of the jacket, so when it comes to the articulation, the jacket isn't going to get in the way at all. Again, other than just maybe saying the question marks probably could have used a little bit of paint, I'm really quite happy with how this one turned out. Maybe a little yellowish on the face, but overall, just a nice looking Riddler figure. And of course, as we get a little bit further down, Riddler does have here purple boots, which does pretty good to match the colors that they used also for the gloves, and they also used for the rolled sleeve, and of course, all the other parts of purple I mentioned before. For the figure's articulation, we're going to start things off once again with his head sculpt. The head sculpt, I can pleasantly say, is very posable. I mean, it also helps, too, as well, that the neck is so long, and he doesn't have long hair coming down too far that it obstructs the articulation for the figure. So when it comes to his posability, you can have the head looking really low, you can have the head looking really high, you can have it rocking back and forth, and if you wanted to, though it would kill Edward Nigma, you can rotate the head all the way around. The shoulders do come out easily at 90 degrees. This, by the way, is it's soft plastic, but it feels a little harder than the softer plastics we're used to seeing in the torsos here. So there's a little bit of give, but it seems a little bit more rigid than the plastic I'm used to seeing on the tops of the torsos here. The shoulders do allow the arms to rotate all the way around. That's the case on both the sides. The figure does have a bicep swivel and a bicep swivel, and the figure does also possess a double hinge on the elbow. Really good, in fact, actually, for allowing the arms to bend way past beyond the shoulders. So if you want to, again, have the cane resting on his shoulders, you can do that. Hands do rotate all the way around. There's a hinge back and forth for those. Upper torso, as we kind of already discussed before, is on an upper torso ball joint. But then in addition to that, he also has a secondary ball joint at the base, just where it connects to the pants. Speaking of pants, the figure does have ratcheted joints on the insides of his thighs. I don't know why we always go with the derogatory shot of the inside of the figure's legs like this. Legs go forward, legs go back. And if in case you are curious, this is softer plastic that they use for the lower torso here. But the legs go forward fairly easy, in fact. There's a double hinge on the knee. A little tighter in this figure, but again, much rather tighter joints than looser joints. And when it comes to his boots, so his boots are actually a continuation of the lower calf. So while there isn't any rotation here, there is still rotation where the boot should be articulated. And actually, in fact, it's articulated in two places. I only expect it to be articulation right here, the main shoe portion of the boot. But actually, there's articulation right here as well, and there's articulation down below. I don't think it necessarily needed to have 2 points of articulation because that would have involved, of course, 2 extra separate molds. I think they could have easily just done it with 1, but at least it gives you some additional posability options when it comes to the boots. And, of course, the ever-crucial toe articulation. Nice-looking Riddler. I mean, again, like, it's missing a little bit of the paint, but there's enough colors, again, for a character in a green costume like this that I can overlook the fact that he doesn't have, I guess, the question mark colors. All the little accent colors are the thing that the figure is unfortunately lacking in. Let's get him on his display stand. Yeah, while I do wish that the figure could have had the question mark colored, and while I do think his face is a little on the more yellowish side, I do think that that's a rather nice-looking Riddler. I also hope as well, and here's the old guy talking behind the camera again, I hope while we are getting this kind of Riddler, as I'm waving my hands in front of it, Arkham City Riddler is fine and good, especially if you're a fan of the Arkham City game, but I also hope at some point we are going to be getting ourselves another Riddler, a rather classic Riddler, as it's a character we've yet actually gotten in the DC Multiverse line. We've gotten this guy, but this is the only appearance we've gotten of Riddler so far. Though perhaps missing some of the finer points in paint, more specifically the question marks all over his jacket, it still turned out to be a nice-looking Riddler. I guess if it's really bothering me all that much that the question marks aren't colored, I could probably take the afternoon, it would probably take all afternoon to take a tiny little marker and go in there and color each and every question mark that McFarlane's team sculpt. Okay, maybe on second thought I won't. At least they did sculpt it in there. For anybody that did want to take the time and color that in, all the power to you. But that's going to be a lot of question marks to color. And luckily, it's only in his jacket. It's not in his pants. That would take you all afternoon and then probably the following day also as well. The figure does have come included with him a cane, which I guess is the one thing I would want Riddler to come included with. If he didn't have it, then it would be even more disappointing. And you really don't necessarily need them come with anything else. Specific characters have specific accessories. And Riddler, when you think of him right away, you always tend to think of the question mark cane, being that he also had it in the game as well. I'm glad to see that McFarlane's team did take the time to provide that and include it along with the figure. What do you guys think, though, of Arkham City Riddler? And a better question also to ask you guys as well is, what other version of Riddler would you guys like to see McFarlane's team produce a DC Multiverse figure of? Personally, for me, I'd like to see a classic Riddler. We also technically, I know I did say in the review, this is the only time we've gotten ourselves a Riddler. Any smart person probably would have also commented down below and said, well, to be fair, we also did get ourselves the 66 Frank Gorshin Riddler, to which I would have awarded you a virtual star. I hope I have enough virtual stars in my... Okay, I only got about 6 virtual stars. Either way, though, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys. There was actually the Frank Gorshin Riddler. I'd like to thank still, either way, the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide the sample of really cool Arkham City Riddler that we can have a look at this review. What do you guys think of this figure? Is this a figure that you will be picking up and adding to your collection? Let me know down below in the comments section. And as always, guys, if you guys are interested and enjoying the content, let's just say if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit the like button down below. It helps you. It helps this channel to grow. But also, if you're new to this channel and maybe this is the first time that you're coming on to this channel, come on in. Welcome aboard. Help yourself to the snacks that I've set up on the table over there. There's not a lot of snacks. I didn't really prepare to have a lot of people here, but there are snacks there nonetheless. Help yourself, and there's some beverages there as well. But if you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button down below, making sure that, of course, you're going to be coming back on a regular basis and turning on the bell notification. So you're always going to be getting those reminders. I know we're always talking about the bell notification, but it does help you, rest assured, to get those reminders every single time a new video posts. And speaking of which, even though we have wrapped up things right now for a pretty cool looking Riddler, there will in fact be more DC Multiverse reviews coming your way. Promsies. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.